Look at this. I bought a new dress. Guess how much it cost for a custom order? It's an amazing dress. It must have been quite expensive. It was $8,000. I bought it with that idiot's bonus. My mother-in-law stole my bonus without permission and bought herself a flashy custom-made dress. My mother-in-law always looks down on me and only thinks about bossing me around. Does she mistakenly believe that all the money I've earned is hers? However, I can't stay silent anymore. My mother-in-law, who has crossed the line, must experience the same consequences. I'm a 32-year-old wife with a job living in her in-laws' house. Shortly after we got married, my father-in-law passed away, and we ended up living in my mother-in-law's house to take care of her who lived alone. Since I had been living as a career woman after graduating from university, I was never a full-time housewife even after I got married. Even after I started living with my mother-in-law, we split the living expenses, and since my husband didn't earn that much money, the idea of me becoming a full-time housewife never came up. Just because my mother-in-law is elderly doesn't mean she immediately needs caregiving. That's why I focused on my own work. At first, my mother-in-law took care of the household chores as she had done before, but after living together for about a month, she gradually started demanding that I help with the housework. If you're home on your day off, can't you do some housework today? I always do it, you know. Don't you have any consideration for the elderly? I'm sorry. Can I take a break and start in the evening? I've been working without a break for the past month, so I do the housework without a break, too, you know. That's why young people these days are no good. Instead of being selfish all the time, think about my mom and do something for her. Otherwise, what's the point of living with her? I was entrusted with the role of project leader, so even when I came home after overtime every day, I still had a pile of work to do. I started to feel a little uncomfortable with my mother-in-law, who demanded that I do housework, even though she didn't say anything to my husband, who comes home on time. Of course, I understand what she means. I think it's only natural for me to help with the housework since I'm living in her house. So, I used to do what I could, such as making breakfast before going to work, and cleaning up after dinner when I came home, but her demands kept escalating. Do you remember where you put away the washed clothes? I can't find the dress shirt I'm going to wear tomorrow. I checked outside too. Huh? Washed clothes, why would I do laundry? It's piled up in the washing machine. Huh? You haven't hung them out to dry the whole time? I have enough clean clothes, and if there's a need for laundry, why don't you do it? Just because I live in this house doesn't mean you can expect me to do everything, you know? I never intended to make my mother-in-law do all the household chores, and in fact, since moving into this house, I've been doing about half of the household chores myself. But that wasn't enough for her. She deliberately stopped doing anything herself, and tried to make me do all the housework. If I don't do the laundry, I won't have any dress shirts to wear to work, and no matter how tired I am when I come home, I have to run the washing machine myself. As the project I was entrusted with finally started to calm down a bit, and when I started coming home earlier, she stopped preparing dinner for me, and by the time a year had passed since we moved in, I was doing almost all of the household chores. You know, I do it when I have time, but doing all the household chores when I have to work as well is physically demanding for me. Can't you say something to her too? Huh? How old do you think my mom is? You're younger, so it's only natural that you do it, right? Well, why don't you help then? We split the living expenses, and if you don't want your mother to do the housework, shouldn't you help too? It's impossible for me to handle everything alone. Hey, I'm a guy, so I don't need to do household chores, right? Stop complaining all the time. Household chores are women's work, and it doesn't make sense to make an old woman like my mom do them. So in the end, it's you who will do the housework. Why don't you understand such a simple thing? Despite the fact that both of us are working and splitting the living expenses, I'm supposed to do all the housework. I was honestly appalled by my husband's mindset. He may seem like a considerate son who doesn't want to burden his elderly mother with household chores. But at the core of it, there is a problem with his character where he looks down on me and treats me like a maid. However, it wasn't a life full of stress. The project I'm in charge of was going quite well, and work itself was going smoothly. And I was about to receive a bonus from the company. It would be more than $10,000, but I was planning to save a portion of it and use the remaining $8,000 to go on a trip with my family. By family, I mean, of course, my own parents, not my mother-in-law and husband. I'll have time off from work, so I'm going on a trip from the beginning of next month. I want to do something nice for my parents after a long time. When I said that, my husband and mother-in-law had slightly dissatisfied expressions, but how to use the money I earned is none of their business. I thought I would finally be free from this life. And I was enthusiastically making plans for the trip. When I finished planning to some extent, I was going to deposit the money into the bank except for the amount to be used during the trip. So I checked the inside of the envelope, and that's when I turned pale. Huh? The money, it's gone. To my surprise, the bonus I had stored in the envelope was gone. I thought maybe a thief had broken in. So I immediately went to the living room where my mother-in-law and husband were. My bonus is gone. Do you know anything about it? Oh, you've come at just the right time. Can you take a look at this? The custom-made dress I ordered has arrived. I used your bonus to buy it. What? It's really cute, isn't it? You said you wanted to do something nice for your parents, but you want to do something nice for me as well, not just for your parents, right? At this moment, my head was filled with despair and anger, and I completely lost control.
You used my bonus without asking me. What on earth is going on? This must be a joke, right?
It's not a joke. You realized there was no money in the envelope, and that's why you came here looking so flustered, isn't it? Bonuses are additional money that you get. So it's meant to be spent. Besides, considering the amount of money you earn, it's like small change, isn't it? It's not a huge amount of money like tens of thousands of dollars, so stop making such a fuss about it.
It's not that simple. There are things you can do and things you can't do. Even though you're a grown adult, you can't make that distinction.
I felt an overwhelming anger towards the two of them who confessed without any remorse that they had used my bonus. If they had asked for my permission, or asked me to buy something for them, it could have been considered cute. However, I had been treated like a housekeeper all along, so no matter how much they asked, there is no way that I would have agreed. Maybe they used it without permission because they knew that. I couldn't tolerate their monstrous behavior anymore.
It's insane to use someone else's money without permission. Insane? What kind of language are you using towards others? Which one of us lacks common sense as a human being? Are you indebted to your own parents or to my mom? Which one is it? The house in which we are currently living is my mom's house, isn't it? And the person with whom we are living every day is also my mom. Why do you only spend the bonus on your own parents and not give a single penny to my mom? It's already wrong from the very beginning.
Why does my husband think that I owe anything to this mother-in-law? I'm the one taking care of her, and if possible, I don't want to live with a mother-in-law like this. If she does all the housework every day and supports me devotedly, I think I would have used half of the bonus for her. The reason why I wanted to use it all for myself and my parents is because of the actions they have taken so far. I was amazed at my husband who didn't understand that at all. By the way, you must absolutely return the money you used without permission, okay? You can't just use someone else's money without permission and act like nothing happened, you know? I don't have any money, so there's no way I can repay it, right? No means no.
You stole someone else's money. And yet you're not taking any responsibility. It's absurd. Do you think saying you don't have money as an excuse will work?
While I was furious, my mother-in-law was still smirking, and she refused to acknowledge her wrongdoing. There's not a single apology, and it seemed that she had no intention of returning the money. However, there's no way such a wrong thing will be tolerated. I will make sure to get the money back no matter what, I thought, but it seemed that my mother-in-law had known that I would get angry. She must have prepared in advance and done some research. I can't just ask me to pay when I don't have any money. If you want to talk about the law, do you think you have a chance against me? You are my family, it's not a problem even if I use the money. If you don't like it, why don't you consult the police or a lawyer? Indeed, what my mother-in-law is saying is not wrong. Even if you use your family's money without permission, the police wouldn't take action. I was really angry, but I couldn't argue against what my mother-in-law said. Well, let's not think about unnecessary things. And continue to get along. Don't be so rude to my mom, okay? The discussion ended with the two of them being dominant throughout, but I wasn't going to stay silent like this. In the evening of that day, my mother-in-law put on the dress that she bought and she is so proud of, and went out with my husband. They probably went out for dinner. I stayed home because I was feeling sick, but that wasn't the only reason. After they left, I went to my mother-in-law's room. I took out the envelope stored in the dresser and then went to my husband's study. I searched there as well, then packed my belongings and went back to my parents' house. Then, on that night, I received a furious message from my mother-in-law after she returned from dinner. Hello? Where are you right now? Why do I have to tell you such things? You stole my money, didn't you? The money in my dresser is gone. What are you talking about? Stop playing dumb, you thief! She called me at 11 p.m., and she was yelling at me over the phone. She really has no sense of common courtesy. I couldn't help but chuckle. Hey! What are you laughing at? You stole someone's money, and what are you thinking? Are you talking about yourself? The person who stole my bonus is you, right? We're not talking about that right now. I didn't steal it. It's more like receiving compensation for taking care of you all this time. Anyway, it has nothing to do with what you stole this time. My mother-in-law continued to yell loudly and seemed quite agitated. As he interrupted my mother-in-law, I began to hear my husband's voice over the phone.
Hey, you stole my money too, you damn thief! Quickly return the money, where did you run off to?
Even my husband treated me like a thief. However, there is no justification for them treating me as a thief. Indeed, I collected their secret savings and got back $4,000 each, a total of $8,000. Since I got back the money without their permission, from an outsider's perspective, I might seem like a thief. But they brazenly claimed that using my bonus without permission was not thievery. So, if I were to take away their savings without permission, it shouldn't be considered theft either.
I did exactly what you guys said. Why am I being treated like a thief? If I'm a thief, then your mother is a thief too, right? Well, hey, why are you calling me a thief? I'm not a thief. Besides, it has nothing to do with me. Why are you taking my money when I have nothing to do with it? Don't mess with me.
These two really only cared about their money, and they didn't apologize to me. I mean, they weren't really listening to me. And what they were saying was incoherent. I truly realized the foolishness of being obsessed with money. They'd been treating me like a maid. And to top it all off, they even stole money. Do they think that they can do anything they want if we are family? I didn't want to talk to them anymore, because they are fundamentally rotten in their humanity, so I decided to express my feelings and hang up the phone. First, if you call me a thief, you should know that you're a thief, too. Also, please tell my husband that he's equally guilty for supporting you. That's all. I said just that and hung up the phone. The phone kept ringing, but I ignored it all. I was planning to send the divorce papers by mail, and I had intention to cut ties with them. But the next day, unbelievably, the two of them came to my parents' house.
Hey, open the door! I know you are here! What are you thinking, coming to my parents' house? And on top of that, shouting loudly this early in the morning. Please stop causing trouble. Give me back my money. You damn thief. That's right. You thief. Return the money you took from me and my mom.
They came to my parents' house early in the morning, shouting like that at the doorstep. They were causing a disturbance in the neighborhood, and I didn't want people to think that I was a thief. They have absolutely no common sense, and I almost lost my temper and retaliated, but before I could say anything, my father hurriedly came from behind and took charge of the situation. I don't know what you're thinking, but you are causing trouble, so please leave.
Your daughter stole our money and ran away, you know? If you're a parent, it's only natural that you take responsibility for it. As long as I get my money back, I won't have any problem. If not, I'll keep shouting, you know.
Should we call the police then? My father mentioned the word police, without directly confronting them, who maintained a defiant attitude even towards him. Then, their expressions froze for a moment, and my father didn't miss that. If you keep treating my daughter as a thief, I believe I could sue you for defamation? You are shouting loudly enough for the neighbors to hear. And you are causing a disturbance in the neighborhood as well. I will call the police for real. Well, the police, It's not about the police. What your daughter did is morally wrong as a human being. When you steal money, returning it is the normal thing to do. I've heard everything from my daughter, but it was you who irresponsibly used her money, right? If you're willing to make up for that crime, I'll make my daughter return the money too. However, you two are going to justify your own actions, aren't you? If that's the case, it's wrong for you to bring up what my daughter did, and if you have a problem, why don't you file a police report? If you're going to call my daughter a thief, filing a police report would be the best course of action. With my father presenting a specific solution, the two fell silent on the spot. My father made it clear that he would report them to the police if they continued to cause a ruckus, and he would sue for defamation if they persisted in criticizing me as a thief. They reluctantly left. Perhaps realizing it would be unwise to come to my parents' house, they sent me multiple messages. They threatened to report me to the police if I didn't return the money. But I ignored all of their messages. If they wanted to report to the police, they were free to do so. I had no intention of engaging with such people any further. After that, it seemed that they actually consulted with a lawyer about filing a lawsuit against me, but of course, the lawyer told them that the police wouldn't handle it and they had to accept it without a resolution. Well, I said accepting it without a resolution, but I actually only took the amount of money they spent, so they shouldn't have suffered any damages. As for the custom-made dress, my husband and my mother-in-law apparently argued regarding whether to sell it or not. As for my husband, he never spent any of my money, and his money was taken, so it's not strange for him to resent his mother-in-law. Well, the reason I took money even from my husband's secret savings was because he always sided with his mother. It's called joint responsibility. It serves him right. And I don't care what happens. Just as I was thinking that, my husband suddenly contacted me. We had to talk about divorce, and when I answered the phone, he told me an unbelievable fact. I've cut ties with my mom, so could you come back? I was wrong to support someone like her. Cutting ties. Can she support herself? I don't know, but I don't care about her life. But I need you. So, won't you come back? What? There's no way I'll go back to you. By the way, I've also told your company about what happened. I told them to be careful if they are keeping you in the accounting department, Because you are a person who can keep a straight face, even when you steal money from a family member. In response to my unexpected confession, my husband fell silent for a few seconds, but it's true that I reported it to his company. Well, I don't know if there will be any actual punishment, but my husband will lose his position completely at the company. Then, I proceeded with the divorce discussion, and I told him to sign the divorce papers and submit them, as I would be sending them to his company by mail. I hung up the phone. After that, I completely deleted their contact information, and I started living on my own. I imagine my ex-husband and mother-in-law are probably struggling with their lives right now, but that's not my concern. I hope, in my own way, to have a pleasant life on my own. In my own way, to have a pleasant life on my own.